After nearly 15 years and thousands of hours of planning and construction, the gateway to and from Hilton Head Island officially has a new look. The complex flyover bridge connecting Bluffton Parkway and Highway 278, accessible July 2016, could be classified as one of Beaufort County's most anticipated transportation improvements. The two goals in mind for everyone involved: safety and ease of access.
It's been a long time coming. It's beneficial for the entire county because it is taking a lot of load off of 278.
For the longest time, US 278 in this section of the corridor, anytime there was heavy congestion or a vehicle crash, traffic came to a stop. Every afternoon, traffic coming off Island backs up from the Moss Creek signal, and a lot of that traffic is wanting to turn left to get to the Bluffton Parkway. That congestion will all now be able to use Bluffton Parkway.
It's always exciting to see a big project finished. You know, the traveling public sees construction on the roadway, you know, the orange cone zones that everybody calls them. You know, they see that for a couple of years, maybe 3 years. But really, there's just been maybe a decade or more of planning and studies and trying to line up funding.
Funding that could not have happened without Beaufort County taxpayers. A sales tax referendum was approved in 2006, setting aside $15 million for the project, which was later matched by the state and federal governments.
We also put in road impact fees, and then there was some cost sharing on some additional asphalt repaving that we worked out with SCDOT. The sales tax referendum in 2006 really gave us the funding to be able to move the project into a construction, into a viable project, and now we're looking at that completion.
You can debate the merits all day long, but the counties really have the ability to pass these sales tax programs. They have the ability to identify projects that are important to them, and they have the ability to make these projects a reality. It's the residents of the county taking their fate into their own hands to a certain degree.
The final contract value with R.R. Dawson Bridge Company is just over $38 million, about $7 million under the $45 million budget, and just shy of $1.5 million more than the original contract. The county plans to use the unused funds on other sales tax projects. The project is a unique one as a whole, the first reason being the structure itself.
The first thing that would come to mind or someone would see is the shape of the bridge. It actually looks like an S, if you will, from the air. A few bridges have, you know, single curves in them, but relatively few bridges have reverse curves in them, and so that makes it fairly unique. There's 4 different kind of foundation systems on the bridge. There's 4 different substructures on the bridge, and then there's 3 different superstructures on the bridge. And when I say superstructure, I mean bridge deck, the riding surface.
We initially knew that the goal was to extend the existing Bluffton Parkway and somehow tie it into US 278. As you're heading eastbound, coming off of a 5-lane road and then coming onto one continuous bridge structure, and then the term is bifurcating that bridge structure into the 2 ramps. Extremely difficult from a geotechnical as well as a bridge design standpoint.
It was also installed in an existing utility corridor, something that in the early stages posed a challenge to move the project along. Prior to construction, design teams came up with 4 different alignment blueprints, eventually choosing the one that you see today.
It probably took between 2 and 2.5 years just to come to an agreement on exactly where the alignment would go and how Santee Cooper would relocate their utilities. Not only the Santee Cooper utilities, but all of the other adjacent type utilities, the water and the sewer and the phone that were all within Santee Cooper's easement. All those utilities had to be relocated prior to even going to construction.
But the biggest challenge of all was building through an infrastructure area critical to Beaufort County, the marsh.
Because the marsh, because Port Royal Sound is so pristine, you know, this is one of the most pristine wetlands, you know, in the state of South Carolina, and the oyster beds being really close. You've got to do a lot of things to protect the nature of the marsh, the nature of Port Royal Sound. You don't want a lot of contaminants, sedimentation getting into the marsh.
The process started with studies of how a structure of this magnitude would impact the marsh. Project managers worked closely with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, Ocean and Coastal Resource Management, and South Carolina's Department of Health and Environmental Control to to acquire a special permit allowing the bridge to come through the sound.
One of the provisions in our environmental permit is the marsh grass that grows. We had to, if you will, check how many stems of grass grow in small areas before the project even started. And once the construction is complete, we've got to go and do the same thing for the next 2 years.
And that's to make sure the grass regenerates itself where the structure does not stand, which was limited to help mitigate the impact on the environment.
When you look at the footprint of the bridge and what's actually touching the marsh, you know, you see bents that are spaced very far apart. You only see 2 columns per bent, or maybe when you get into the ramps, there's only 1 column that comes down. We're using very small drilled shafts in lieu of some giant, huge spread footing that you may see in other locations.
The bridge also features a special stormwater filtration system. It's an industry standard, yet is not commonly used because not many new bridges are built over marshes.
That was an innovative approach to this project, was to capture the stormwater coming off of the bridge and essentially send it through a filtration system before the water would empty out into the marsh. And so periodically those filters will need to be cleaned, much like an air filter on a car.
Another neat aspect of the bridge is the coloring on the beams. The blue paint, approved by the Department of Transportation and County Council, will help prevent rust and erosion from the salty air. Crews also erected 2 large sections of sound wall in late 2015, early 2016 on Bluffton Parkway near Buckingham Plantation Drive.
During the design process, one of the things you have to do is you have to go out and you have to check the level of the noise before construction starts. With Old South apartments on one side and the gatherings community on the other side, both of them were going to be impacted. The Old South was impacted the most, and so the noise wall on that side of the road was mandated by the federal government. You have to put that wall there to reduce the noise impact on the people who live there.
And due to the pre-construction noise assessment on that stretch of new road, county leaders decided to put an adjacent wall to protect the gatherings community from any traffic noise as well. By the numbers, the flyover wasn't short of large amounts. Crews moved about 36 million cubic yards of earth. That equates to basically enough to fill 11 Olympic-sized swimming pools. They've also poured almost 11,000 cubic yards of concrete, equivalent to 22 million gallons of water, which could fill almost 3 Olympic-sized pools. For the bridge structure, about 6 million pounds of structural steel are installed over Highway 278, and more than 15,000 linear feet, or roughly 3 miles, of concrete beams hold the bridge up. When all is said and done, eyes still need to be kept on this new structure. Crews will perform what they call tactile inspections at a minimum of once every 2 years.
You're looking for common problems first and foremost. Issues with joints and bearings, making sure that you're not seeing any distress that's occurring in the concrete or the steel. It is exposed to a saltwater, salt air environment, and so these things will eventually happen over time.
Traffic flow will also be constantly monitored through the new roadway, where 20% of traffic from 278 is expected to shift to Bluffton Parkway before merging back into 278.
We're coordinating some of that merge with operation of the traffic signals. And so what we intend to do is time the signal. We got a new signal at Buckingham Plantation Drive and Bluffton Parkway, and we're coordinating that time with the Moss Creek signal. So for the eastbound traffic, we will release traffic off Bluffton Parkway just beyond after traffic gets stopped on 278. So they'll be able to merge right in and won't be as difficult to merge.
County leaders say Bluffton Parkway 5A helps set Beaufort County up for future road improvement projects. That includes the idea to expand Bluffton Parkway from where it stops at SC 170 all the way to Interstate 95, as well as repair and replacement of both bridges onto Hilton Head Island.
We're moving forward as fast as we can, but we always have to keep an eye on the future. Then the future, of course, is the bridges.
Well, this ties into our long-term plans of getting 6 lanes on and off of Hilton Head Island. So this is just one more step in that, and one more piece in that puzzle. Coming up in November, we've got a sales tax referendum, which includes 3 more projects involving US 278. One of them is going to be improving the access on and off of Pinckney Island. The other is going to be improving access and widening on Jenkins Island. And then the third project is widening 278 from Jenkins Island to Squire Pope Road.
And with the completion of this project comes joy in strengthened relationships from all parties involved.
This project even further reinforced the relationship with Beaufort County officials. The folks here really take their job serious, and they're really concerned about doing good for the people who live in Beaufort County.
It's very rewarding at times, it's very challenging at times. The county's doing a lot of major infrastructure projects, and they have been for a lot of years now. They are doing projects and delivering things to make just transportation better in their county, and we're very appreciative for it, and we love what they're doing down there.
It's a signature project for a number of individuals and agencies, both the county. This is going to be a great project for the DOT, although it'll be a Beaufort County project. It'll benefit the DOT. Personally, I take a great amount of satisfaction of seeing a project that we submitted on about 10 years ago to finally come to fruition and be completed.
But we're excited. I'm excited, and I think folks are going to see that it's going to make it a lot easier to get on and off the island from certain areas, and I think they'll appreciate the benefit of it. So.
It's a relief to finally, get a load off the shoulders on this one and get it finally done. And said, after 15 years work on it, glad to see it finally built out.
For the County Channel, I'm Stephanie French.